Come on, it's the international break. Let's go. I'm kidding. We all hate it, Blues, but it's the reality, and we can't change it. So, I was at work today, and as I was driving back, I was thinking, what on earth do I want to talk about today? And something came to mind. So what we're doing today is something I think is pretty fun. We're making a tier list, and we're looking at what players on FC26 are rated overrated, just right, underrated, and criminally underrated. So let's go ahead, do that, air our grievances together, and call out EA for all of their atrocities. Okay, guys, so basically, if you're watching here on your screen, I have over here, this is EA Sports FC26, our full squad list with FC26 ratings. This is on our website. And then over here, I have a tier list that I put together, and this has our entire squad. So we're just gonna go through here. We're to see what are the ratings revealed. Do we agree with them? And let me give you a little bit of context, okay? I have owned in my life probably, I don't know, around 15 FIFAs. Still weird to call them FC26. All that doesn't roll off the tongue. I find, especially the last probably 5+ years, I think Chelsea is terribly rated on FIFA games. Yes, we haven't had the best teams every year, but I think every year we have many players that for whatever reason are rated terribly, and I don't know why that is. And you'll see as we go through this year, I think, is no exception. And also, I did not actually come through and make my like ratings and opinions beforehand because I kind of wanted to be live. So let's go ahead and start off right away. So first we got Gaga Slanina right here. So he's a 68, and I am just gonna put that in just right because I don't even know anything about the guy. I know he's done decently well in the MLS, which is why we got him. He was over in Barnsley, I think, last year. He did okay, I think, but I don't think he has a future for us in the future. So a 68, I'm just going to say, I think is probably fine. Moving on, Joshua Champong. Here's the thing, and I'm also interested to see which of these opinions I have drives you nuts. Let me know. I think a 70 is probably okay for him. I think, and the reason I say that is because he's very young, right? We as a Chelsea fan base obviously have a lot of reason to be excited for him. We see so many interesting cameos from him, both against Crystal Palace and Liverpool, really putting up a good demonstration of his abilities. But put yourself on the outside, right? If this was a Liverpool video, thank goodness it's not, and let's say we watched it and they were rating some youngster that they had, and they're like, oh, he should be a 75 already. Like, let's say they were rating pain about to ensue Rio Nguoma, and they wanted him a 75 or 76, and when he's proven not a whole lot yet at the top level, we would say it's unfair. So I think 70 is probably fine for Josh. He's probably due for a mid-season upgrade, maybe to 73, 74 later in the year, but for now I think 70 is fine. Mark Yu, he's rated a 71. I think that's probably okay as well. Similar reasons. I think he has high potential, but I don't think he's proven anything to warrant a higher grade than that. Tyreek George, however, I do think has proved more than those other players. I think he had quite a bit of goal contributions last year. I think we're playing him out of position right now, which is why he doesn't look as good right now. So I'm trying to remind myself of that. How often have we gotten to see him on the wing? Not very often. He's better there. That's where he's actually supposed to play. So I'm going to put him in underrated. I don't think drastically underrated or criminally underrated, but I think he could do for like a 73 or something like that. And then Facundo Buonanotte. I know he is really not favored in the Chelsea fan base just because he wasn't an exciting buy or loan. Just kind of felt like a panic buy, but he's really performed well wherever he's been. He looks okay to me, and since he looks okay to me as a Premier League player, I feel like 75 is the definition of an okay grade. So I'm also going to put that and just right. And we might go through here and make some adjustments later on, but we'll kind of see as we go on, because we're going to kind of make our system, our basis on which we're judging as we go. So we're going to put him in okay for now. 75 seems fine to me. Dario Sugo, I think he is also going to be fine where he's at for me as well. 75, honestly, I actually feel like that's maybe, I don't think it's overrated, but I'm surprised they've given him a 75 already, because this is his first year in a top 5 league. He was in the Portuguese league prior. He's shown a lot of promise, but I'm just surprised. Normally, they don't give players that are just getting onto the scene of top 5 leagues that much benefit of the doubt, especially when they're young players. So I'm happy with it, but I'm a little bit surprised by it. So looking at that, hear me out. You guys might disagree with this. I almost am tempted to put Buonanotte in overrated, just because he has performed well in the championship, but I don't think he's performed particularly well in the premiership yet. Because I think he wasn't he on loan at Leicester last year, not at Brighton, and he performed decently well at Leicester in the championship. I think that's correct. I totally could be wrong there, but I'm going to put him there for now, because there's not going to be many that I put in overrated, so let's just keep him there. Moving on to Benoit. 76. He's a player, I think when he's healthy, he's much better than a 76. Not much, but probably I think he could be about a 78. So I'm going to put him in underrated for now. I think he could still probably be at least a 77, 78. And then moving on, let's go to Garnacho. He's a 77, which doesn't that feel very low? And also, you can ask my wife. I was not at all a fan of Garnacho before he became a Chelsea player, but it's amazing how the minute a player puts on the blue, you immediately just start fighting for them, right? You're just like rooting for their cause, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, that's underrated, but in the past, I probably would have said that's overrated. So I'm going to say it's just right for now, because he has shown a lot of promise, but he needs to do it consistently. Next is Philip Jorgensen. Absolutely overrated for me. He's a 77, especially given that Rob Sanchez is given a 78 here. I'm at the point now where I think Robert Sanchez is at least a full, if you're using a letter grade system, at least a full letter grade better than Philip Jorgensen, not one overall rating. I think Jorgensen should be down to around a 74 maybe. None of his cameos give me any vote of confidence. So Sanchez at a 78, that almost feels underrated to me, actually. I don't think he's elite, but I do think he's good. And I feel like when you start having a goalkeeper in the Premier League rated below an 80, you're insinuating that they're not good. So I'm going to say underrated for Rob, actually. I think he should be an 80 flat, probably. I don't think he deserves a 78. Then we have Lavia. That is bordering criminally underrated for me. I don't think I'm going to keep him there simply because he's been injured so much. I don't think he deserves to have as much probably support as I would give him, but I still think he should, maybe similar to Sanchez, be an 80, because every time he does come on the field, doesn't he look absolute class? No matter who the opponent is, he looks like an absolute baller. And I think everybody knows that as well. He's not some niche indie player that only the streets know about. Everybody knows about Lavia. If he can stay fit, he's definitely worthy of more than 78. The reason I would say that as well, he is a better player than, I would say, the next 4 players on this list. You see Hato, Gittins, Aderbioyo, and Delap all on 78s. None of them are better than Lavia, in my opinion. I know they're different positions, but still. So Hato at a 78, I'm going to say just right for him, because he's a young center back that's already captained a very good historic side in Ajax. So I think that's probably fine. Gittins, he's a hard one to rate, isn't he? Because in the Bundesliga, he was quite a good player, quite a tidy player, very creative, creates a lot of shot creation opportunities. I'm actually going to say underrated here, and that's because I'm trying not to be reactionary about the way he started. I think he could border close to an 80 as a winger when he's on form, and I think he will get on form for us in the season. I don't think by the end of the season, I think by November, December, he's going to be starting not every game, but splitting them with Garnacho, and I think he's going to be performing well. So I think he's a little bit underrated, not much, but maybe a little bit. And then Tosin, I think Tosin's just right at a 78. He's the epitome of a decent rotational center back for me. So I think 78 kind of reflects that. Then we have our boy, Liam Delap. Liam Delap, he's at a 78. I also am inclined to say that's just right as well. And also, I feel like we should have mostly just right players, just because... I mean, these editors did take time to do this right, so they shouldn't mostly be wrong. So I think Delap at a 78 is fine. He scored a good amount of goals for Ipswich Town last year, but of course, he's not proven it at a top club yet. He's extremely young. He's 21, 22, I think. I think 78 is fine. Then Stevau. Stevau at a 78 as well. Here's the thing. I think I'm going to put him in underrated, not because this might sound stupid, not actually because I think EA did super poorly, but I think very quickly he's going to turn into this year's... I'm going to say, I think he's going to turn into this year's Lamine Yamal. If you look on essentially every Wonder Kid list, it's Lamine Yamal, then Estevao. He's going to prove to be an absolute world-class footballer, in my opinion, and it's only a matter of time. So underrated, but not by much. I think he could have been a 79, 80. But as of now, that's why I'm not blaming them, because he came from a Brazilian league, so at the very start of the season, I guess that's probably okay. But I'm going to keep him in underrated just because I like him there. Malo Gusto on a 79. A lot of people hate on Malo Gusto. He's had rocky performances, I understand, but also he's been asked to play in so many ways that he's not designed to play. I agree with the fact that I do think he's more of a system player. But here's the caveat. When you play him in his right system, I think he's easily a top 5 right back in the Premier League. And because of that, I think he's underrated. I think a 79 doesn't do him justice. I think he needs to be at least 80. And moving on, I'm looking at this underrated list again, guys, and I'm trying to be honest, kind of self-regulate. I think Gittins, the players are so small in this as well. I'm sorry about that, but Gittins I'm going to put in just right, because 78 I think is okay, because you have to think about the translation from Bundesliga to Premier League, so I'm going to put him up in just right, because I do think Joao Pedro is underrated. At a 79, again, just having all these starting players for Club World Cup winning, top 6, top 4 consistent Chelsea, all under 80, feels disgusting to me a little bit. So yeah, I think Joao Pedro is deserving of an 81, 82, somewhere around there. And then Wesley Fofana, he's on a 79. I actually think that's okay. And I think he's a 79 player now with a potential for high 80s. That's where I'm at with him. Trev Chalobah, underrated. How long is this guy going to be underrated for? He's a 79, and I think he's an absolutely tremendous player. He's not elite, but how in his prime, as this player who gets starts for England, he's not even in the 80s? I think that's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy. I think he needs to be at least an 80. Andre Santos at an 80, I think is just right. I'm actually surprised they gave him this rating, being this young. Obviously, he played very well for Strasbourg last year, but I think an 80 is fine for now until he proves that he's more prepared for this level, which is fine. Levi Colwill on an 80. That, for me, is criminally underrated. I know he's out right now, but you do not rate players based off of them being out. Did they rate Rodri 5 less than what he got on last year's game because he tore meniscus as well, like Levi Colwill did? No. Levi Colwill could easily be at least an 84, 85, and I don't think many people would bat an eye at that, and he is an 80. That's unbelievable to me. Pedro Neto at an 80 is fine. I actually do think that's fine. He's a great player. He works extremely hard for the team, but his output is so unbelievably inconsistent. As an attacker, you're not going to get a super high rating if your output is kind of minimal. Get ready for another criminally underrated. Reece James. I'm aware it's been several years. I'm probably defeating my argument before I even started. Anyway, it's been several years since he's had a all-out 100% fit, fully Reece James experience year. I understand that. But it's been that so far this year. It was that during the Club World Cup. And he is an elite, world-class, top 3 right back in the world when he plays. And he has been playing for most of this last 9 months or so. He deserves well more than 81. I would say he needs an 85, 86, maybe even flirting with an 87. That's just my opinion, but I think he's criminally underrated. Probably the worst rated player in the squad. Next, Marc Cucurella. He is absolutely at least underrated, maybe criminally underrated for me. The reason I say that is because I think apart from Nuno Mensch, he is probably the best left back in the world. I don't think an 84 reflects being the best position, like the best at your position in the world for anybody. So I think he needs to be at least an 85 or more. And then our last few guys are top 3 rated players, all of them midfielders, which I think is accurate. Enzo Fernandez at an 84, I actually think is just right. Some of you might disagree with that, but I think that's just right because he has such a hard time keeping up his level. When his level is high, you know, I vouched for him last year with his goal contributions and everything and his leadership. He is an elite player as well, but he's not always that level. Whereas players like Moises Caicedo sitting on an 87, I would almost argue that is underrated still because every game, even when he's not fit, like the game against Liverpool, he puts in like player of the performance, match performances. That's the difference. You can have players that are both amazing, but one doesn't show up maybe a quarter of the time. Whereas Moises Caicedo, every game you know what you're getting. So I think he's underrated as well. I think Moises Caicedo could be pushing. I think he's pushing one of the best midfielders in the world. And I'm not just saying a particular kind of midfielder, period. Midfielders, he's one of the best in the world. Name for me a handful, and I would say he definitely goes toe-to-toe with them. And I think he's probably still underrated. And Cole Palmer at an 87. Outstanding player. Our second best player behind Moises Caicedo. I actually think he's just right at 87. I think he's just right at 87 because that is an outstanding rating. That's an elite rating. A rating above 86 demonstrates that people recognize you for being a wonderful player, and he is. So I think he has potential to be in the 90s eventually. Same with Caicedo, but probably not for this season. So, guys, that's my rating list. I'm not going to cover all of the ones we rated, but the 3 I have criminally underrated were Levi Colwill, who's sitting on an 80, Reece James on an 81, and Cucurella on an 84. Would you change any of these? If you would, let me know. I just thought this was kind of a fun thing to do, to vent together, because I think FC consistently disrespects Chelsea in the ratings, and I wanted to kind of go through that together. So what do you guys think? What would you change? What would you keep the same? And don't worry about our friend down here. Maybe we'll see him again one. But guys, without further ado, go ahead, hit the like button if you haven't. It helps the video get out there. Subscribe also. The channel's continuing to grow, which is a good time. And hopefully I'll see you guys next week and enjoy this kind of weekend off without any stress. You can just enjoy, maybe re-watch the Liverpool match. Just watch the Reds absolutely get flustered, underperform, and watch our Blues dominate. So anyway, guys, up the Blues. I'll see you next week, and have a good one.